farmers, mountain back to Atlantic Ocean, upon me hills to country, to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia, for Liberia, Liberia, for Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday, from Monday to Sunday, it's focus on Liberia. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday. Focus.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Ja.
Hi, my name is Abby Tyler from Pennsylvania, and you're watching Focus on Liberia.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you are watching Focus on Liberia's premier, longest running show, On Point. Welcome to this edition of On Point. Share the show. Let everybody know that we are here, ready to rock and roll. As always the case, we have a social contract with you. Every Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, when you turn on Focus on Liberia, you expect to see us here because that's our duty to you. We've been doing it for years and we will continue to do so. Share the show. Send us your comments. Be critical if you want to be. Let us know where you are tuning in from. If today is a special day in your life, let us know your birthdays, anniversaries, Memorial Day. Let us know and we'll send a shout out. If you are tuning in from Gidewo or Capocan or Plebo, all the places where Dan and Giles used to walk, let us know so we send a shout out. Let me welcome Dr. Fidel Booty. Doctor, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Gaiman. Great to be here. Yeah, looking forward to a good show.
Excellent, excellent. If you are from the Southeast, especially the Maryland area or River G, you might have a bloodline with Dennis Jar. The gribble, the bush gribble, they call them bush gribble, not a regular gribble, bush gribble. But they eat both like they eat kanya. So you don't play with those boys from the bush gribble area, they are very good. Today we are going to be talking about Liberia as usual. There's a lot going on in Liberia. We've been trying to talk something new. But every time we plan to do something, another news come out. And today we have a long list of things we'll be talking about. But one particular one that came out that is now trending, besides the drug issue, we're going to get to that. It's a young man by the name of Dr. Emmanuel Tamba. Dr. Emmanuel Tamba, I want to guess. He might be from Lofa because of the name, Tamba. He was appointed Chief Medical Officer of JFK. We came to find out that Mr. Tamba is simultaneously operating his private hospital. And people are saying supplies going to JFK is being siphoned to his hospital. Spending more time in his private clinic or hospital than he does at JFK. What makes this newsworthy is under the previous government, President George Manneh Weah appointed one Dr. Wilhelmina Jala. Wilhelmina Jala wound up or was the owner and sole proprietor of a hospital. And again, when Joseph Waikai was in opposition, he said it was conflict of interest, it was diabolical in nature, and that should never happen on any civilized nation. So now, 3 years removed, Joseph Waikai was invited to be the keynote speaker and launcher of the opening of this new hospital officially. So folks are saying, and rightfully so, what is going on here? This is not hypocrisy. This is totally disregard of the law, of ethics, everything that has to do with professionalism. We will talk about that in length while we go over the other topics on our show. But the more things change, the more they remain the same. Let me go to Dr. Booty. Dr. Booty, this one is a firebrand. It's a bomb somebody dropped on the Joseph Waikai. Now we got the clips. We got the video of the president going to lunch officially, open, dedicated hospital by one of his homeboys from Lofa, Emmanuel Tama, the chief officer of JFK. This is what we are talking about, Doc.
Well, um, well, okay. So there are various ways to look at it, but let's focus on the politics of it. I don't think it looks good that someone who has been appointed to bring our biggest referral hospital up to speed, up to a standard that Liberians can trust, that when they go in, that they will be treated and they will come out with better outcome safely, with high quality care, and be protected from any human error or ill health. To then have a private hospital, right? So I'll get to the president's part of it, but to have a private hospital whilst serving this institution communicates to the Liberian people, well, to me in particular, that you do not trust in your own ability to bring JFK up to the level that JFK should be at. So what you've gone and done is basically create a private hospital that you believe can offer the Liberian people the services that you are not offering them at JFK, even though we're paying you to offer them those services. Now that's horrible in terms of the politics. And I think to compound that is the fact that the president of the Republic of Liberia seems to be endorsing that mindset, right? By going there and saying, well, in his actions anyway, that, oh, it's okay that even though I'm paying this man thousands of Liberian people dollars every month to bring the JFK to that level, right? To bring the JFK to a level that Liberian can trust that when they go in there, it's not a death sentence. But it's okay for this person to create a private entity to do the exact same thing. The level of conflict of interest is so high because you're creating a private institution to do the thing that the Liberian government is paying you to do at JFK. So politically, it's horrible. But Mr. Gaiman, again, I've said this on this show many times, and I hope I'm going to call his name 3 times. Aliyu Kamara, Aliyu Kamara, Aliyu Kamara. Maybe he would join. Uh, this government does not care what the Liberian people think, and they believe that, yeah, what they'll do, because it's horrible, right? It's just not what you would expect in any society, that the person who is charged, it's almost like, let's put it this way, it's like the commissioner of police setting up a private security entity to protect properties of ministers of government whilst he's serving as commissioner of police, when that is what the police is supposed to do. The police is supposed to protect lives and properties across the country. But he set up his private security agency and then hire out their services to ministers to say, okay, look, pay my people to protect you, even though the police is supposed to be doing that, right? It looks bad politically, and the president has made it worse by attending and speaking at this event. The hope is that I'm not even sure. I was going to try and put some positive spin on it, but Mr. Gideon, I'm struggling. I'm really, are you not here to put because I can't see any positive, in, again, we all, some of us work, some of us have run businesses, but some of us have businesses that we run on the side of what we do as work. And it doesn't, I can't find a way to communicate to our listeners and our viewers how this is a good look for anyone. Like, how do you say to me that, oh, we're paying this person thousands of dollars every month to bring JFK up to a level, but then the same person is telling us in their actions that no, 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 we're not going to do that. So no, politically it's wrong. I think it's a waste of the Liberian people time and money. And the president again has scored another own goal by going there and endorsing this with his presence, when again he should know better. Right? Again, the people elected him. He is the most experienced person to ever be elected to the office of president. Most experienced, 42 years in government, public service. Most experienced. Tolbert, I think Tolbert was vice president for 17 years or 18 years. This man was in public service for 42 years. So he has so much experience when he came into office. And yet he does things like this. And yeah, I don't know what else I can say about it, Mr. Kevin.
Wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, share the show, send in your comments, and we want to say thank you to Flex Electronics. You have been, I would say, the top fan of this show. When we need comments, when we need criticism, positive criticism, he will always give it to you professionally. Someone said to me, who is this Flex Electronic guy? He knows, he has idea, he has knowledge on politics, engineering, environment, you name it, he has it. Flex Electronics is like a fathom. He's a fathom. You can't, he's doing something good. And he's part of the movie. He's on stage. He's the main character. But I think what got the Phantom to be so interested, people want to know, because you see just a partial view of his face. He's half humor, a quarter humor, and something else. And people wanted to know, but what is behind that mask? That's this young man. Or a young woman could be, I don't know. A woman could be flexing too, so you never know. But yes, these are the things that we are talking about when we say we want to have the most informed audience. People who can critique basically anything, not just what they say, but what they know. And as the show goes on, you're going to find out who some of these folks are.
So Mr. Gilman, I was behind you doing some technical work, but I'm just compelled to just comment on Dr. Emmanuel Tamba.
Okay.
Right. So
let's see your face now. Why you been talking against you boo man?
We were just talking about Fathom.
Hold on now. Right. So because we've been saying these things for a long time, Dr. Booty and Mr. Gilman, so as these things happen, I'm just asking myself why.
Mm-hmm.
Why were Dr. Tamba, if you are at that level, we are judging you at that level. So you know what it is, what conflict of interest is, you know what are the potential. That's why here in the United States or the developed world, even your clients, the highest you can take from them maybe $11 or $22. So if you are the chief operating officer for a major hospital and you have your own clinic, even if you don't want to, even if you're not doing it, would that not create, just by doing that, people would definitely believe that you are doing something. So what is responsible for that? Is it that Dr. Tamba does not know or he does not care? Is it that President Bouaka is not vetting his official and doesn't care about what they do? Or is it that the Liberian people are just ready to take side? If it is done by a Unity Party president, you Unity Party, you praise it. If it's done by a CDC president, you CDC, you praise it. So in that process, we are not able to hold anybody accountable since we're taking sides, so we just approve whatever they do. So why people do these things? And then third to that, also there is this push, there is this rush, there is this thirst for investment or somebody doing something. Right now, if you are talking to say, oh, you guys sit down over there and you don't do it, but at least Dr. Tamba has built a hospital. He has a clinic. So just like in the words of McGill, when he was working with President Weah, he said, well, if I steal the money and I bring it here, it's not bad. So you can steal as much as you can, as long as you are building something in the country, people are okay with it. So I'm here scratching my head and saying, come on now, why are these things continuing to happen? My friend Snowball Brookler, he had a podcast yesterday screaming. He went to JFK. He took his employee there who was sick, and it was at 10 p.m. They charged him to pay before they admit, before they even look at the patient. And they had money to pay on the mobile phone, and JFK does not accept mobile money. So he was shocked as to why would JFK, a major hospital like that, does not accept major mobile money that is accepted everywhere else. So JFK had problems, not just medical, but even processes. And at the same time, someone like Dr. Tamba is operating his own clinic. Even if he's not taking medicine there, what does he expect us to think?
Well, let me welcome Joseph Tower. Mr. Tower, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Jerome. Hi, Dr. Booty.
Dennis and
hello, Mr. Tower. Welcome.
Dennis, this is one of the reasons why some of us, many of us, have just thrown in the towel and saying that the foundation is so crooked that no matter what you build upon that crooked foundation will never be straight. A typical example is what just happened with the drug thing. The whole world has been struggling with the infiltration of drug from time immemorial. And we've been seeing that we are experiencing here in the developed world and everything else. When the drug issue at a minimum level came into Liberia, the Unity Party and the opposition made an issue out of it that this was not an international issue. It was President Weah selling drugs, bringing in kush into the country. So they made that particular case to the point where people began to believe that the president himself literally was selling drugs in the streets. So now that Joseph Boyka has been caught with maybe 1,000 times what was in the country at the time, they are now trying to make the case that drug is a transcontinental issue. It is not a Liberian issue. We shouldn't look at it from that spectrum. And I told the Unity Party people, I said, even if you were telling the truth, your stance from the beginning has become an albatross around your neck. Now we are using the same yardstick that you used to indict President Weah that he was personally selling kush. So now here we are, same thing. When Wilhelmina Jala was appointed by President Weah, and she was also running her own hospital, that was part of the debate, that was part of the protest, that Wilhelmina Jala should not be the boy from Cape Palmas and Campo, Illinois. If the Wilhelmina Jala should resign, she cannot run her own hospital and run the JFK at the same time. Because what they were doing is that patients were going to JFK and they will write prescriptions. And the prescription would be either at the private clinic that belongs to them. So those were the things that were going there for Joseph Boyka to come to power. And if he doubled down on what he said was illegal, it was unethical. For him to be the chief launcher, dedicator of a hospital run by the chief operating officer of JFK says a lot about who Joseph Boyka is. And it reminds us with his speech in FOIA when he said, if you steal the money, bring the money back and help the people and develop your country. This is the Joseph Walker we are talking. So yes, Dennis Jai, what you are talking about, some of us have said it a million times. When they work in the United States in a controlled environment, they do everything perfectly, and they go to Liberia with 10, 20 pages of resume that they have working all hospitals, you name it, and they have a perfect record. But when they hit the RIA, the CPU is clean. Let me welcome Victor Nami. Victor Nami, welcome to the show. You are muted.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Great. Mr. Tao, we've been, it looks like we are beating the dead horse here, but it looks like the man who owned the barn, where all the horses are, don't give a damn if a horse dies, you beat it. And they just do the same thing. They got no remorse. They care less about the law. They care less about ethics. They care less about anything. This man, where his nephew opened a hospital that would be competing with JFK, and they see nothing wrong with that.
Yes, thanks, Jerome. Look, first I want to say something here. Why you stop sending me the link? The link is Victor number behind this?
Yes.
I just want to know.
Yes.
Or Michael Padmore. Which one of them?
Yeah. No, they don't want no country boys over here.
I see that,
yeah. Yeah, dang country answers.
Victor a Congo boy now, I see that. But no. But look, look
I've assimilated as well, Mr. Tao. So
he's a capture. He's a capture house Negro.
It's a capture.
Capture house Negro.
On point is not capture. But look, guys. But look at what happened here. This is the issue that I always have with the whole setup and the structure. These guys don't care. Okay. You talk about the United States. It's not just that the area is structured in terms of, but you get penalized, you get held accountable, right? Somebody own their own hospital. I don't really think that is actually really the issue, but it's the way in which the environment is, right? So since people get there and everybody just do their own thing and nobody question and nobody get held responsible, then that is why when you own your own hospital or clinic or doctor office, and then you go to run the medical facility, that is why we complain. That is why people have issues. Like the Widemina Jala that had her own hospital, or it could be this lady. That is where the actual issue is. So to not call this kind of attention, the president's supposed to try to at least find people who are not privately like invested. If somebody know that they have their private stuff, I think they should try to maybe shy away from that kind of job because of some kind of conflict of interest, unless a system that is in place that can account. Like, how sure are we that they're not moving medicine? They're not directing traffic to their facilities, and I want to believe that it happened, or there is strong possibility because nobody get held responsible. You see. Like we cry all through about maybe the president bought bulletproof car and all of this stuff. Those things wouldn't even be an issue if the government was working, or if the government is working. Because a president need to be protected. If the president came in and he built his house and put fence around, turn it big, that is really won't really be that much of an issue if the country is working. But what they're doing, the country is not working, and they keep trying to do just for themselves. And this is where the issue is. And so if I want to check for this Emmanuel Tamba, because I don't think that's the one, that's the other Tamba I know. So then it means maybe he has two nephews, because that's his nephew too. That's my close friend. We grew up together. Emmanuel Tamba, we all grew up together, but he was based in Canada. So I don't know whether this Emmanuel Tamba that they're talking about, he's from Canada. We all grew up together. We were all adults, went through the war. his other brother, Nathaniel. Nathaniel is in Liberia now, and stuff like that. But it's never going to really get better, Jerome, until the selfishness actually stop. They don't really care, and that is why I talk about the system right quick. So the president's already voted in for the next 6 years. He's in there. All of the people that are in there, they're already in there for 6 years. You could complain. People will say, "Oh, it's the Liberian people." The Liberian people really have nothing to do with this. There is a system presented to them, and then the type of people that are powerful for them to choose from. Let me tell you, whether it's Cummings, whether he has good intention, whether it's ability, with all of the best that he's trying as an individual doing this, he entered in there. The system is designed to corrupt. I'm just telling you. So we really need to look at that system. We're going to be sitting here for a long time complaining about this.
Yeah.
The system is designed to corrupt. Look, I myself that here, if I enter in there with the same structure in place that already channel the current on how everything's supposed to function, I'm going to be corrupt. I might not take money specifically, but you have to play ball. You have to, there are a lot of corrupt things you have to do to maintain certain things. Okay, if you wanted to pass a bill, you wanted to go ahead and build seawall, you have to write it up as a bill. You have to send it to the Senate. They have to review it. They have to demand that either they have a hand in it or something is given to them. If not, it stays in there. Is that what you're going to be fighting back and forth with? So what in the end, what happened? You give them concession. Everything you give them concession, you give out a portion of the country's money or resources. This is the kind of system we have. Every system changes. We keep talking about, oh, we need to update stuff, but it's one old system. Each time we mention that it's not working, it's outdated. The people who own the system, this whole system that we are dealing with, in this present form across the entire Africa, when did it actually really come to be brought to the forefront? It was just post 1945, when the World War II was over. The new world order in the so-called rule-based system, championed directly by the U.S. Now this particular system is coming to an end globally. Everybody, even the people who own the system, you don't hear the United States talking about democracy anymore. That is not how they're dealing anymore, because they used it when it was beneficial, when it was useful. So we were forced to some extent, but now they are dealing directly, not like they were China, and they are dealing now to some extent. So no need. It's time. This is a critical moment for us to examine these things. This is the chance. This is the window. If we miss it, other African countries are already moving. It's only in Liberia when you bring it up. Guys, let us look at this. All these things that we complain about the corruption, this one, that one, it is a system you have. Allow it for you to actually really participate and just be corrupt.
Thank you. Let me go to Victor. Victor, this one, the free time essay pass mark. This one, I just can't get it. When few years ago, these people were all in the street, all over Wilhelmina Jala. You got to resign. You cannot own your own hospital, and be the chief operating officer of JFK. Medicine has been subphoned to your area. Everything that go into the hospital, people are dying in the hospital, but they will die here or go to your hospital and survive. So the ethics, and here we are. The president is endorsing this. He is the chief launcher. He dedicated the hospital.
Yeah, I think this is I think this is a violation of the code of conduct, conflict of interest, as you rightly indicated. And I wonder what has happened to Councillor Conga, Finlay Conga. He's the head of the ombudsman's office. What does he have to say about this?
Excuse me. Remember, he himself was caught in a corruption, and he's no longer on the job.
Oh, he has been. Okay, I'm behind. I'm behind schedule here.
Yeah,
Um,
Kanga hired several people, paid them at a higher rate, and then
okay.
they were so getting 50% kickback.
Yes, I
The
remember
guy who
now.
was in charge of the ethics.
And I think he was seizing somebody's salary or something like that. And
Yes, yes,
yeah, doing
yes.
a whistle. But again, yes, these are the sector heads immediately responsible for responsible governance. The LECC of my friend Clark Martin. Yeah, mostly asset recovery for all of this. But yeah, but at the end of it all, and I like Mariah Yakula's commentary. She said the feed here rotting. Right now our feed here is rotten. This is happening under the president's watch. I mean, the buck starts with him. He cannot tell me he's unaware of these. You're pointing out he is going to dedicate a hospital of someone he appointed to head the biggest hospital in the country. Doesn't that tell him something? Doesn't that say something to him? You know? And so I think at the end of it all, I think I'll put it one on the legislature. I think they have a job to do here. They themselves, they're not doing much. A few of them, Amara Kone comes to mind. Musa Ability comes to mind. Once in a while, Dylan does something surprising. I don't understand what Senator McGill is on besides doing CDC, home blowing the whole time. They're supposed to conduct hearings on these matters. Why don't they call these people in? They can call in Ambassador Kuyate and read a riot act to him and eventually fire him because he said something that was not in their interest. Why don't they do that? Why don't they take up hearings on these matters? It is within their purview to do that, you know. But I think this is a callous disregard for the rule of law that this president continues to demonstrate. And now I'll also put it on the opposition. We have to do a better job. Again, Musa Ability is doing his part. Mr. Cummings is doing his part every now and then. We get something from the CDC folks, and that's why I say I was happy that the former president has made it clear finally that he's stepping back into the ring. The opposition also has a role to play here. We need to challenge these people. We have to let them know that we're not going to take it, and because we're letting them get away scot free, and they continue the president knows very well that this is a violation of the code. There's a conflict of interest. Now there are other reporting that this man is diverting some of the drugs that was intended for the country into his clinic. And it is not difficult to imagine that. I have no proof of this, but this is what is being said and written about him. And I hope this is not happening. But how does the president not see that? How does he not know that? And not only that, he is going to dedicate, this hospital. Same thing he does with Abu Kamara. The man is under investigation. He gets up to go and pin him as a man of integrity. And of course, are we surprised that all charges against Abu Kamara have been dropped? So this president, I believe, all of this it circles back to him. He's not ready. He's been in government like forever. He knows all of this, but he is unwilling. It's not that he's not aware of them. He's unwilling to make the right calls, and we let him get away with it. So we also must blame ourselves.
Let me welcome J.G. Toba. Welcome to the show, Chief.
Thank you very much, and great to see everyone.
Yes, well, we will allow you to close on this. If you are following the JFK Emmanuel Toba saga, your take on what's happening in Liberia there.
Well, I'm not too familiar with the issue at hand right now because I think it was not part of the discussion point. Maybe I can do a research to make my input later.
Okay, let me bring you up to speed. On the surface, Emmanuel Toba was appointed Chief Operating Officer of
Tamba.
Excuse me, Tama. I get everybody from Lufa. Okay. Emmanuel Tama was appointed Chief Operating Officer of JFK, and we saw the president dedicating another hospital run privately simultaneously along with JFK. So he's going to be a sole proprietor of a hospital, CEO and owner of that hospital, at the same time CEO and Chief Operating Officer of JFK, and most people find that as a conflict of interest, and we say rightfully so.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think I want to agree with everyone who have echoed the same view, because that is complete conflict of interest. You cannot be a chief medical officer at the same time run your own private hospital, because what we know right now in Liberia, for the most part, is that people who work at JFK, most of them do have a clinic, and they refer patients to their clinic for medications or other follow-ups. So being a chief medical officer to run a clinic, and more besides, not just run a clinic, but the president to dedicate that very much compromise the working of the chief executive of the hospital. It means you either serve your private interest at the highest and forgetting what the public needs to be healthy about. So I think the president needs to look at a decision, or the board of the JFK, because that alone is complete violations. And if you want quality services from someone who administers the affairs and looking after what he or she is supposed to do, especially Mr. Tamba, that is complete violation. So I certainly agree with everyone who have expressed their opinion and view on that matter.
Great, guys. We got 1 hour. Let's go to our agenda for today. Let me start with you, Mr. Tukba. It says that the LDEA officer in charge, the boss himself, recuses himself as evidence of collusion with drug traffickers mount. The pressure is on. This man has been peeling around in cars belonging to the cartel, or the cartel gifted it to him. And when the pressure mounted, it had reached a crescendo. And yesterday or Friday, he decided to recuse himself. But for those of us who are political junkies, while other people say this is a great thing for him to do, the letter that he wrote, in his letter, there's a statement there, a few phrases that we need to look at. He said he has not knowingly, he said he has not knowingly accepted a pickup truck from the cartel. For those of us who like to read the fine line, if I own a car, or Tukwa owns a car, and someone said, this car, someone give it to him, he can say, don't try me. Here is my bill of sale. This is how much I paid for it. This is when I bought it. I got my title. I got everything. Categorically, the car belongs to Tukwa. But Tukwa say, this car that I'm driving, I didn't knowingly drive it. I don't know who gave it to me. That kind of set up the red flag, and now the fire, the balloon is popping from everywhere. This is a plausible deniability that have just gone wrong.
Well, I think many of our stakeholders in Liberia do play on the intelligence of the Liberian people, knowing fully well what they know and they do not know, so they take advantage of their thing. How well in this world that you're going to receive a gift and you don't know the intent, especially a gift of such a mind, looking at you being the chief officer in charge for drugs in the country, and looking at the brilliant alarming rate of allegation pointing at DEA from every sector. Everyone who gets on the radio today on show looking at DEA, and then you come out and make the kind of weak and lazy statement out unknowingly. So how did you accept the offer? Or someone can give or explaining why it was not a secret pass sent to you to say, okay, it's right in the middle of your house. And even at that, you still have to raise an alarm, because being a security intel, knowing that this thing cannot be for nothing, because you have to have the second thought or even fourth thought. If this happened? What is the intent? If you can ask yourself those crucial questions, then it comes to mind that if someone asks you, you also know that you have asked yourself, and you didn't know the gift was intended for what, but did you report it as a drug agent officer in charge? Did you tell anyone? How did you get the pickup? So I think his resignation, or accusing himself, is not really a plus for me, from my view, because it's belated. However, we still want justice to be seen whether he's totally involved, whether how did he get mingle with these people and so forth. But it's just unthinkable in any way that people will just think the Liberian people will always remain silent for their own good or entitlement. It beats anyone imagination for such a man who with a level of intelligence to say he does not know that the gift was from this person. So why didn't you report it? Why didn't you call the police? Why didn't you call for investigation? Who get this? Why didn't you announce it to the public? I found a picker in my house. I found it in the front of my yard, in the back of my parking. What is it? Who got it? So make some effort. Get inquiry, not where you're using the picker side by side with your operations, and then at the end of the day, someone have made interrogation to expose you and say it's unknown. That is just a joke from such an individual in our society.
Let me go to Dr. Booty. I know you've been on these platforms for years now. We've been discussing these. It's either one thing, the guys just, they don't care. There's nothing there above the law. I'm saying this because 2024, right after this government came in, I got a call from my nephew who works in this government, and he asked for me to get information on family reservation at Disney. One of the men who were just appointed to government wants to send his wife and his 4 kids to Disney. And I told him, I said, staying at Disney is very expensive for 6 folks. Will he want to live outside Orlando for him to commute to cut down the cost? They called me back and said, no, we want to live central Orlando, we want to live at Disney. The figure these people were talking about, it blew my mind. To fly 6 people from Liberia at Disney, in the center of Disney itself, for a week. I was shocked, but that's why these people don't care. Dr. Booty.
Yeah, I think, look, it's easy for us to start to lower the standards required to say, oh, look, the man recused himself, so yeah, that's a good start, right? But that is, it's almost like a medical doctor, and I will not use myself, I'll use one of you guys, coming in to treat Mr. Nangbe, and then washes his hands before, and then was, the doctor wash his hand, the doctor wash his hands. Well, that's what you're supposed to do, right? Why we're clapping for you for washing your hands when you're supposed to wash your hands before you care for a patient, right? So recusing yourself is and I take the point that Mr. Tokpa made, is that this government is trying, and look, Mr. Gaiman, I think it's deliberate. I don't think these guys are stumbling. I don't think the Liberian people are accepting. I think these guys are deliberately trying to frame the system or frame the Liberian people in a way that they will accept these things as normal, right? That they will applaud mediocrity, right? That they will be excited when something that is normal, something that is expected, something that we shouldn't even be talking about is done, that people will be excited that, oh, wow, look at what he's done. We know that, unfortunately, members of this government, some members of this government are not living up to the standards that we would expect, right? Now, I'm not talking about, because we're individuals on here with a level of understanding of what we believe government officials should be held accountable, the kind of standard that they should be held accountable to. They're not living up to that standard, and they are basically trying to use, as you would call it, smoke screen to bamboozle us, to say, oh wow, yeah, but at least they're trying. Now, some of us don't believe in those kind of ways of doing things, and we will say to people, look, here is the standard, and if you don't live up to that standard, then we will come and say that, look, you're not living up to the standard. The fact that people are coming to you and saying, Mr. Gamer, that I want you to book a holiday for me and my family and you live in the United States, you have access to Orlando because you live in Florida, and you are telling this person, my man, the thing is expensive. Even for me who live here and can afford it, it's expensive, right? And they're like, oh no, it's fine. That taxes you pay, man, we'll just spend it. We get a problem with that kind of thing. I mean, yeah. So that's basically what is going on. And every time you see these guys do something, again, I go back to something I've picked up recently. I've been saying these people don't care about what the Liberian people think. And I pick on something that Elvis Morris said, and I'm hoping he's watching years ago or months ago. That look, the Liberian people, and now I'm speaking to our brothers and sisters in Liberia, have to stand up for themselves. Because as much as we can come on here and sacrifice our time to speak to the issues and challenge the government to do better, we are not directly, right? We're indirectly impacted by the things that are going on. We're not directly impacted. We're making strides in our careers, we're making strides in our businesses, we're making strides in our families and our lives. And the people who are most impacted by these wrong decisions need to get to a point to say, you know what? I'm not happy that my child cannot get a meaningful education because the government of Liberia is not investing enough money into education to train our teachers. I'm not happy that a an individual who is in government and supposed to be making sure that the hospital is good enough to provide services for me and my children is now opening a private hospital. I'm not happy. They need to stand up and speak for themselves because unfortunately, they're the ones that are suffering, right, from what is going on, directly suffering from what is going on. They're the ones that get to JFK and they say, oh, if you don't pay $11 or mobile money, like someone mentioned, we won't. You need to stand up and say, no, this is unacceptable because primary healthcare in Liberia is supposed to be free. All right. When you get to JFK, they should at least diagnose you first before they start asking you to pay for this and pay for that. Right. But they're not doing that. And the Liberian people need to stand up for themselves because it's getting to a point now where if you don't, you can't blame us to say, oh, why you ain't talk for all? Because we're talking, but you ain't want to listen. You're here in our country. You need to get up and tell your government, look, this is not right. And one of the ways that the Liberian people need to do this is to ensure that come 2029, neither the CDC or the Unity Party should come anywhere close to government. They've had 20 something years of leadership in our country. They have not done anything that is good enough for us to say, okay, look, you guys have tried. Tell them, your day well, my people. You'll see you later. Find an alternative from the others who are available. If you don't do it, we'll come back. For us, we'll sacrifice the time because we love the country. We'll come and talk, right? I will argue with Mr. Tawa, argue with Mr. Nangwe, right? By the end of the day, it is on you, and you need to stand up for yourself.
Let me go to Joseph Taiwo. I don't know whether it looks like it's not a choir anymore. It's not a symphony anymore. It looks like we are singing solo now. We have said the same thing over and over and over and over and over. Someone gave you, I guess, maybe Ralph stand to be corrected. We heard that a gift, anything over, I think $25 or $200 was some kind of small number. Anything over that number is unacceptable. It's a crime. It would be a violation. And somebody is giving you a car, and you say you may not have knowingly accepted a gift. I don't know what is going on. What's in the water in our country, Mr. Tao?
Yeah. So when I came here about almost 3 years ago, where I was still in power and people were up level, like all charged politically or whatever, that the WEA government was going to be removed and everything was going to be good. Mr. Gimment, you were here. And I said nothing was going to change. I said, in fact, this Obuaka government was going to be worse than the WEA government in doing certain things and in output in certain areas. It's not because I'm a Sencut or anything, but because I've spent over 30 years studying the system of government and everything that we are practicing that we have. One government will be worse than the other. It's like in or engineering what you call entropy, it moved toward decay, and this is what we are dealing with. But to come back to Dr. Booty point, he made some very good points, and also Mr. Togba. This guy just said he recused himself. Is he even really supposed to be recusing himself, or was he supposed to actually be removed? Because this is a whole vehicle, right? You are in the security sector. Somebody just come and give you a vehicle. Anybody. You accept it, you start driving around. And this is not a boycott stuff, but this is the system, the corruption and the rot of the system that we're dealing with. Because these guys have been in that whole system. Anybody that plug in there, the corruption been going on. So he get the vehicle, he driving it around. The news come up that, hey, these guys gave you some vehicle and you're driving it. The president says nothing. Nobody says anything until he himself decide that he's going to recuse himself. That's the kind of system they're running. People in other positions, what they say, he will have a clean hand. So in that area, that is what they're all doing. So at that higher level, you will see the policemen, or they themselves will collect Prophet Key, because they got to show that some kind of system is working, law and order. They'll put him in jail. Yeah, that's a little guy. Why did Fadiga and his boss fight? What was the fight? And what came up from that? They said that Fadiga said that Abu Kromah actually have connection with drug dealers and criminals. That he was actually on the payroll. He insinuated that. The president suspended them. Guys, not a single investigation was done to actually hold anybody responsible. So why would the next guy that come in there, he knows that all you do is just say you resign or you recuse yourself, no matter how much you steal or how much. That's it. You're just gone and they put another person in. So nobody really get held responsible. The system doesn't. It's not working. And look, Dr. Booty, I agree with a lot of things you said. But when it comes to the people, my brother, the system that you have set up, the people have no control. What the people have been demonstrating, then they just demonstrate on just recently, they arrested some of them. The reason that you are not able to move as a cohesive force, we're having the same thing here in the US. You have a system that breeds division, sectionalization, polarization, cliques. So all of a sudden now, all the other young people then that are supporting in the group that they belong to Unity Party, they should turn around and demonstrate against Unity Party so they can have WEA come back to power. When it was WEA on the time, the people that supported WEA should demonstrate even if you're doing something wrong, so that UP can come to power. You see the kind of system we have. So a political system abroad in the country that created faction and groups that does not allow an actual movement to come together. You know why the progressive were very successful in the move? You have only one party and you have the rest of the group. So Tauber then actually really knew early on they should have allowed multi-party democracy. The progressive probably never going to succeed, because and you play them against each other, and that is what they do. Then what happened? You are going to have a Moja try to move, but they're not enough. Power want to move, they're not enough. Moja and Power really can come together. The other group really can come. So you have small factions, and that is what we're experiencing. So the people are actually, you told them this is what you have, this is the best, and they're doing the best with it. This is what's presented to them. And it's difficult for you to function in that area. You've seen the same thing here in the US. When Democrats are in power and the other person, you see the faction. Anything that Democrats do that is wrong, if you mention it, any Democrat around will deal with you. Oh, okay, you're trying to make the Republican come to power on Republican, and this kind of division. So that is why I keep saying we need to look at the system and the governing structure. The legislature, my brother Nambe says, we have to hold them responsible. That is true. But look at them themselves. Bunch of criminals. Are they even working? What are they even producing? Nothing. In fact, they are actually the leading problem in the whole government. Because these are people that are supposed to be actual direct representation of the people or representatives of the people. All they care about is to take money. The government does not work for the people in Liberia. The people work for the government. I said it here before. If somebody work for you, you will decide what they get paid based on their job output. You will decide whether they get bonus because of their performance. You will decide whether if they take vacation, they get something. Do the Liberian people decide that? No, it's the government officials that are deciding that. It's the legislation that is deciding when they're going on break, what they get, how long they work, and all of this stuff. So the illusion that somehow the government, the people work for the government, work for the people is not true in Liberia. You can look at it. All the evidence is there. So we need to look at that governing structure. Until we can solve that problem, we'll be sitting here through and we'll be discussing this. They vote to close it. They vote out CDC and UP. That's pretty good. The next guy that coming in, they're hanging around. Look, let me tell you something. The system have you hanging around for a long time because you have people financing you. They want to make sure you are indebted very well. This is how it works. If you understand it, then by the time they bring you in there, you are lame duck. Ellen Johnson selling for almost 50 years. By the time she was done, Walt Disney, they were her sponsors. What happened? She mortgaged out the entire country.
Yeah, let me go to
Opon hung around 2005. Pretty much there were all kinds of evidence that he won, but he was too clean. He was too new. He could come in and try to do something correctly. They delayed him, frustrated him, financed him. Then they brought him in. The Liberian people don't choose those people. Those people are selected, funded. Then the people that are agree on are presented. Then you vote for them, so you legitimize criminals to come and work on behalf of both domestic and multinational capital. That is the democracy you have. It's a business. It's for sale.
Let me go to Namwe, Victor Namwe. This drug thing is not going away, but it seems to be like an octopus. Every time you turn around, it grows new tentacles all over the place. It's the Baggio man. As you can see, they got AR video now going around. He got his Sierra Leonean accent. And he's doing all. I don't know if you've seen that one before, but it was so comical. Victor, where are we going with this?
It is, and look quickly. Let me send out a few shout outs before I forget. Elvis Morris, we're on the show on Friday night. I forgot, but I have to give him a shout out. I hope he's listening. He's a young brother, but I think he understands the progressive struggle very well. I like his input and his appreciation of what we did and how we got here. He continues to make very complimentary comments about that, and I don't think I've acknowledged him enough. So I like to acknowledge young Elvis, and I want to thank him. People like him we need to help us, tell our story. I also like to quickly, I know we're on a different topic here, but let me take a few seconds. Dennis, the CEO, we were discussing the ideology of the progressives, and I was between calls, so I don't think I gave much time to that. The ideology doesn't have to be one written in books, but I think the ideology of progressives have always been access, equity, access to our natural resources. That has been the most vexing issue that we've had to grapple with in Liberia. At the time of the progressive struggle, about 5% of the population were controlling about 99% of the resources. So you think of that.
Or more.
Well, yes, most of the guys were talking about equal distribution. If you remember the POW, we later on began the Progressive Alliance of Liberia. I mean, the Progressive People's Party was accused by Samuel Doe of being a communist because we were talking about equal distribution of the wealth. And so, yes, there were, other tenets of socialist, leaning that we adopted along the way. But I think the thrust of the argument has always been that the resources must be shared with the people equally, especially the natives. You met us here, damn it. You met us here. We own this stuff and you're living it up. And sadly, at the time, most of the resources were being invested outside of Liberia. I mean, we can see what is happening in Liberia. Most of the guys have homes all over the world except in Liberia. So I just wanted to put that down there. I know we'll come back to it another time. There's the drug issue that is confronting us. It's complicated, but I think it's also not very complicated. The problem, what is complicating this is the method that our guys who are in charge are using. I think that is what is complicating the process. They know what the facts are, but I think they spend way too much time obfuscating and trying to bury the facts, and point us in a different direction. And I think this is what is giving them a hard time. This is what's giving them a hard time. How is it that the man who was supposed to lead the fight against drugs in the country is personally recusing himself? Why? Why does he have to personally recuse himself? Why are we giving him that option? It is because he's been implicated in several different instances. Why isn't he under investigation? So he's personally recusing himself after almost 2 months or more of this thing going on, And this thing, I think the government itself, the way they're doing it, I think they're just giving people time, to find their way and quickly get off the stage or whatever it is that they're trying to do. But it's very, really surprising. I read this gentleman's account from the Central Prison, Kolako, and he's alleging several things. One, that people went in there to breach the protocol for how people go in and come out of Central Prison, because there is apparently one of the people in jail that they're interested in springing. And he is saying, he's sounding a warning that it is going to happen unless Liberia looks to other countries. He named Morocco and other countries to come in and help. Otherwise, some of these people will be sprung out of jail. I think this is what is complicating the investigation, because I think the authority is too overly basic, trying hard to cover up for those people who they actually know are involved in this. Why is it that Biako is allowed to recuse himself of his own volition? Why? Why isn't he being investigated? What has happened to the president's son? He has been directly accused. Well, where is the investigation into that? Now they're smearing it. They're now on a smear campaign to smear the foreign minister, a very good friend of mine, for full disclosure. I don't think she has anything to do with it. What is troubling me about her situation is I don't understand why, they're not going to court. I asked that question of the deputy minister the other time, and I saw this other flunky Moali who knows nothing but government, calling my reasoning stupid. The man who comes to a radio station to debate the government policy and leave all his brain on the printer, he's calling me stupid. A flunky like himself, a parasite. But I think this is what is troubling them. They're too busy trying to do extracurricular activities. That is what is. This is a very, very strict. There's a lot of people, and Kolako has named other people that we were unaware of. I think about 4 or 5 people are in his write-up, and he's telling us to pay attention to these people and how they come into play. So the short answer to your question is, Jerome, I believe this government is engaging cover-up. They're not engaged in resolving this matter. And some of these people have been with these people like forever. Some of the photos I was just reading, Martin Colley, he just released it while we were on the air. Some of the people in the photos with Biago, and this I put from Charles Taylor's days. Some of these people have been here forever. And they know it. They know it. President Baka, he dismissed A.B. Kroma and brought him back into the government. Right? We read stories of Mike Kuya and this other Kwabo guy. I think Kwabo, one of them, was dismissed before Gregory Kroma brought him back into the government. Why are they recycling these people? So that is the short answer, I believe, to your question. I think the government is engaging cover-up. That's why they're making this thing seem so complicated.
Let me go to Toba. I'll come back to you, Taiwo. Let me go to Toba. In the real democracy, in established uh, countries, people that we say we emulate, when your agency, top members of your agencies are involved and they are compromised, usually you cannot investigate yourself. So we have the police department totally involved at every level. The NSA, the spy agency, the top of the top, their deputies, the people are involved. So if you had the police department is involved, they should recuse themselves totally. The NSA is involved. They should recuse themselves. So we are left with only one option: to bring an international investigative arm to investigate, lay everything on the table, to give the Liberians some confidence. But how can a police department that is so far allegedly compromised investigate itself? Same to where the NSA. Here we are. So here is the DEA director saying, this truck may have been given to me by somebody that I may not know, but it's not my fault. I will recuse myself.
Yeah, well, it speaks to the fact that the security agent does not want to do anything because the chief executive gave them the leverage to operate the way they operate, to make sure that the Liberian people cannot hold them accountable because they feel so supreme, they feel so authoritative, they have the power, the will to do whatever they want to do, or whatever they want to do for the against the Liberian people, prosperity, economic development, well-being, and I think this case is just taking a slow pace, but with nothing because it will further turn to event when it comes to investigation. There are being committees set up, and then we cannot see the report. We don't know the outcome of any investigation in our country. All we know is being presented to the president, whether whether it's good, whether it's holding someone accountable. People go to court, and the evidences have been tampered with, and then they come back free, and they go right back. So if we call on international support, we want to set a timeline. We want to set a benchmark to know what is in this assistance they want to give us in making sure that drugs is minimized, if not eradicated from our society. Because the more drugs infested Liberia we have, the weaker economy we will have, the poorer health system will be because productivity will be very low. Nobody can function well. Inflation will be high because there'll be a lot of loose money from the black market because there are so many things happening with the drug sector. So by this time, the president has experience, he has a wisdom, and he should be using those combinedly to be able to make sure that the Liberian people get justice, and those who are alleged go through investigation. And like most of my colleagues have just said, recusing yourself is like it's whether when I do this what will happen, if I don't do it what will happen. That is the scenario that we have with Biako and the rest of the other people. The police, almost most of the top brass are being allegedly accused of this drugs involvement. NSA also, people in the president's office are accused. So where are we heading? Who do we trust with the investigation? So it's no a second guess to know that we need to call for outside assistance, but we want to give them, we want to make sure that the process becomes very much transparent, open for the public. And along the way, if we had what we need to do, we have to, what we call audit, we engage the auditee and make sure that these are the area. So the public should not be left out, because leaving the public out, it means that nothing is done seriously. And that's where the government always cajole the public, because they say we're investigating, we have identified suspect, we incarcerate, then we don't see the outcome, and then 1 year come to an end. There's a clemency for relief of those very bad people who have polluted the society. We need to change the way Liberia do things when it comes to getting bad people from the society by the law. And in most of our trial, we argue on the system and good people. The systems have been coordinated by bad people, so it makes the system very weak. We say it's not the system, but it's the people. But if those people cannot govern and act well according to the laws of the land or the policies that is enshrined to make sure that people do exactly what it's supposed to do. I agree with Taya. We need to make sure that we have people who have this country at heart, who can make sure that Liberia become what it's supposed to be. 179 is now 2 years. So the thing is this, right? Most of who come from America to go and serve, to a larger extent, they siphon them into that corrupt system, how to get loose money. They go with good intention. But like you said, we are in 2005, they took him and they brought him. So they were growing him to the process of seeing how you can get things loosely on accounted for. So we have people, almost 75% of our top officials right now, they are all who learned, who went to school, who work here. Why are they not instituting the good policies? Why are they not instituting the right thing that will help to grow our society? So we need a foreign investigator, and those investigators should not be close to the bad guys. They will call the bad guy to interview them, give the statement, analyze the statement, and then they give all the decisions on who is right and who is wrong. That would be able to solve Liberia or drugs problem right now.
Great. Let me start with. I'm coming to you, Taiwo. Let me start with the new topic here. Because we're running out of time. Let me go to Dr. Booty. Dr. Booty, you're an educator. We all are, to some degree. Here, the Minister of Education is looking to charge parents in Liberia, right? In America, here is like a social welfare. When the child is not in school, social worker will come to the house to make sure that the child is safe. And if the child is not going to school, they want to find out why not. And if the parents are negligent, the parent could be charged for truancy. The Minister of Education is trying to do something similar in Liberia. Some people are saying that she might be out of her head to even attempt something of this nature.
Mr. Gaiman, our sometimes it's if these things we did not have real life impact on people, right? You would laugh when you hear some of the things, right? But unfortunately, these things, none of us on here, and I'm taking a leap, right, of faith. None of us on here want to see young Liberian children out of school. None of us, right? But the reason we're here is because the expectation is when we talk about these things, we will try to be as objective as possible, right? A lot of children who are not in school are involved in trading to support their parents. So some of them don't go to school because they're selling, to be able to raise money to feed their families. Some of them, their parents cannot afford to pay the fees, because even they're saying government schools are supposed to be free, but there are extra things you have to pay for: reams of paper, toilet tissues, and uniforms, and even feeding the child before they go to school. Because we know that when you go to school and you're hungry, you don't even pay attention to what is being taught, right? So this lady who spent the last few years of her life living and working in the United States have come to Liberia and believes that the way that she can get children into school is not for the government of Liberia to, one, put more money into education so that when kids come to school, for example, there are free school meals for those who are poorer, right? So at least the parents have an incentive to send them there, right? Not that the government will institute policies to create jobs and opportunities so that their parents can earn an income, so that they don't have to use their children to support the family. No, she comes up with something stupid as, okay, these people who don't have money to send their children to school, because they can't even buy rim of paper they ain't able to buy, so they can send the children to government school. The children are going out to sell so that they can feed. This is a life and death situation, so they can feed the family. I am now going to go and tax these people for not sending the children to school when, one, they cannot afford to send the children to school because of the extra things they have to pay for, and two, they need these children to go sell to eat. You must be so detached from reality, right? From the reality of our country. You must be so detached to come up with a policy that's stupid, ill advised, not thought of. Because again, this is someone who, and Mr. Gaiman, I am not an administrator, right? I have technical expertise in specific areas in compliance and in governance and in academia. You ask me to go and run an organization administratively, I will struggle, right? I'll be honest, I'll struggle because I'm not an administrator. So you take a lady who is an educator, right? And they say, come and be an administrator of our system. She doesn't have a clue what she's administrating, right? She knows how to develop lectures. She knows how to develop and deliver lectures. She's a university. I think she was a vice, like whatever position. She does not have the experience. But apparently, because when she was appointed, I said she's related to Dara Dillon through his, I think she's married to his someone. That's how she got the job. Not because she was running some educational district in the United States, for example, as an administrator. Because again, you're who the boss man and your administration different from having expertise, right? Running systems is different from having specific knowledge where you go in, look, I'm a compliance person, I come in, I assess where the risks are, and then I tell you, here are the things you need to do to address the risk. And let me come in address your risk, or you address your own risk. Then you take me, see if you're that you want to kind of administrate them. I will mess the whole thing. And that's what we're having. These people, this president has decided, and like Mr. Tower said, they're worse than Joshua. And it's sad to say that, right? For those of us who criticize the Joshua government for years, they've taken individuals good in whatever they're good in and put them into situations that they have no clue how to do these things. And they're coming up with policies that they're so, we had a panelist, I think 2 weeks ago, who said that we should torture some people and things like that. Some were like, oh no, we won't be. But so many people, you need to lay them down and give them 25 when they come out with these kind of stupid ideas, because it's like, what is going through your head that you believe that the way to get children in school is not to provide incentives for poor people to send their children to school, right? Not incentive. You don't want a missionary in there, doing your time is a giving when you was small, you go to school to get your copy book and thing, to get your book bear and thing, and then that they busy your book. No, you say we want tax you when the people don't have, like, you said and think like, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but that is a stupid policy to come up with, right? Looking at our context, people are poor. Their children are not good. Nobody in Liberia wouldn't want to send their children to school if they could afford to do it. Nobody, right? And instead of trying to make it affordable by providing incentives like free meal, right? Because I can guarantee you, if you take away all the rims of papers and the tissues and the uniform that they need to pay for, and then provide free school meal, people will flood their children into school because it takes the burden of feeding them off their hand first and foremost. Two, they don't have to pay the extras for all these other extra things. And then you start to create an economy that is fairer. So that Papa and Mama, like Ellen Johnson, were lying to all. Oh, I want to make sure when Papa coming from school, I mean from work, cheer him around and say, oh, Papa not come. Papa not coming in Joseph Boga regime. So how will Papa now be able to pay? So you tax, it's like, how are you even going to implement these things? How do you know where the child that is not in school lives? We don't have a address system that you can identify, okay, child A lives as address B. So we'll send a letter to we don't have. So how, like, what? I'm angry, and I'm trying not to, but this is so annoying, Mr. Gimme, this is so, because these are people that we're entrusting with the future. Because, like, for a guy like me, I've got two daughters, right? And my kids go to school, they go to a Catholic school, a private school, and they're doing okay, right? They're doing well. And you look at your children, and then you look at ordinary children in Liberia, and you're like, this is not right. That my children will have the opportunities that they're having, and we elect these people to try and create some system to give other people children opportunities so that they too can look forward to, oh, I can be this and I can be that. And they're just destroying, and they're coming up with some stupid things like these, and they actually believe that I'm just going to shut up, Mr. Gaming, because I'm just going to keep ranting. It's a stupid policy. It wasn't thought of at all. The children that they claimed to be interested in helping, they didn't consider their plight or their context, nor the context of their families, because if they did, they would come up with policies that take away all that extra charges that they charge in government schools, bring food into the schools to entice the children to come to school, and create opportunities for mama and papa to work so that they can be able to afford to send their children to school. That's what you do. That's the holistic approach I would have adopted instead of the nonsense that she's come up with.
Well, let me go to another educator here. Let me go to Joseph. Let me go to Joseph before I go to Nambe. Joseph, this is Mr. Tower. This is what we call in America here the cut and paste, right? It is not your idea. You didn't think about it. You seen it on piece of paper. It looks good. You just take it and you go and say, you know, let's have a press conference. We're going to do this. In these United States, I'm in the education sector. Mr. Nambe is in there. I don't know what Mr. Topa does, but if he does, he has an experience because he maybe have children that go to school. What they do here in our school district, you can have a PhD in anything. You cannot run a school. You got to have something they call education leadership. It's a specific program geared toward learning how to run schools. You can have a PhD in anything. You are not going to be a principal. You are not going to run a school effectively. You have to have an ED, and ed leadership degree for you to be able to actually run the school. So this is what we are talking about. This lady came from somewhere. I want to believe they may want to change the narrative on the front pages of the paper, and it just came up and say, we got a grant from some European country. We get education from K to this, and we are saying if you don't bring your children to school, you are going to go to jail, without discussing the underlying problem why children are not going to school. You're taking it. Let's make it 2 minutes each.
Yeah. So Dr. Booty actually said a whole lot of things that I would want to say already. But look, your point that you made here, that's a point I constantly make. Cut and paste. Liberia is not America. The American experience is completely different. They come from here, because look, this is my problem with the so-called diaspora that claim they're so much experts and educated, want to go into Liberia and they want to run the country. And the proof is always there, because they say charity begins at home. Let us see the work that we are doing in here in the diaspora, in any organized fashion as a group. I'm not talking about individualistic stuff, but as an organized group and organized communities with organized organizations that are actually able to run real programs that create a general benefit for the Liberians. You can check the entire United States. One of it doesn't exist in any meaningful form. So it's the same people that will leave here claiming that they can go and run a country. And when they get there, that is the outcome. They have no idea. They have no sense of direction. In the first place, if all of the children woke up now and they decided, okay, they're going to go to school, where the infrastructure, where the school buildings are going to be able to house all these kids? It doesn't exist. So for her to even make this statement, it doesn't exist. Just in Monrovia alone, if all the children today, they decided that, you know what, we want to go to school, you don't have the infrastructure. So for her to even make this statement, but you see, it's the same we're talking about the drugs. Nobody get her responsible. They make some kind of statement. They don't have to have any real or analytical stuff and policy stuff that actually makes sense behind it. People just make statements. We all here. Tell me, in Kakata right now, all the kids say, look, we're going to go to school. How many elementary school or high school do you have in Kakata? Are you trying to what? Force them to, I'm talking about public school, government school, I would call it. Are you trying to force them for them to go to private school and start? And even at that, private and public put together right now, it's not enough. It said the kind of school that Danny Jai was showing here that is in his village or in his hometown or in Buchanan somewhere, where the children are on bare floor or the bare ground, they're sitting on benches. Where when it rains, the rain coming down, is that where you're going to force them? So these are the things here. And look, guys, it's the same that we say you see it everywhere in the security sector. Just that we're talking about the drug, because all these things are connected. Oh, here's your police director. When one of his deputies that is close to him that he brought in got caught up into that, he got 10 grand. He come on the air and say that the guy is being suspended because he interfering with investigation. How do you interfere with investigation by receiving $10,000 from the drug dealers? And the guy is not even arrested. He's not even on any kind of, where the coma come from? From here. I don't know him very well. Maybe he worked as a police officer or in the security sector somewhere. I don't know. So the result of us coming from the diaspora that don't want to go run the country, it doesn't. Let me tell you, Mr. Tukpa, you made a point. I just want for me to add something onto it. No, it is not the people, it's not Liberia that is turning the people from here into the corrupt system. It's the people from here going with the mindset of the corruption, individualistic stuff, trying to go and capitalize and loot a system in a country that is weak, that don't have infrastructure in place to hold them responsible. That is why I made the suggestion here that we as Liberians here, whether it's through the YOLA or whichever organization, come together, petition the US government that if a resident of the United States or citizen leave from here and you go to Liberia for you to say you want to go serve in government and you are appointed or elected, if you're caught up in corruption, let them pass an actual resolution or some kind of legislature here. You come back here, you get arrested and tried under US law. And comparatively, the sentence you hear, guess what? You see a whole bunch of this stuff will cut down. It is capable people that actually have real intention, people that are actually qualified. Because I know we have a lot of qualified people in the diaspora, actually, and good intention. But what happened, most of them don't want to affiliate with political party. Most of them are not going to talk to, well, why would they get Nangbe to go there when Nangbe question the government? So even if he's able to do something, he's not a partisan. Why would they want for Dr. Budi or Brother Jerome to go or you? They won't allow that. So what happened? Just like this lady, she got this job that she don't really understand because based on her policies that she's trying to put for, because she know somebody in the Senate married to the relative, they're there. So what they do anything over there, they run back in the government plane, they come back here. But what happens if they get persecuted here for crime that they commit over there when they accuse they run away? Like that lady Ellen Crocon, when she ran away and she came back here, she was making all kinds of big mouth. Yeah, they already recording, but they just steal money at the RIA. She was sitting around here. Everybody going to do the same thing. So we should do better if we say we want to go there. Now, if we cannot serve in government, let us go as private citizens. So we can go get, most of us here, we're probably doing our private thing in the country that adding value. You know, we're all struggling to help the country, but few people go. And then if just imagine the people from the US could get punished, the people in Liberia to get punished, get held responsible if they get involved in corruption, then guess what? You reduce the chances and then good people start to work. You will attract people that actually want to go there and work. You see? But so to close, Dr. Budi, what she said is not possible because in the first place, she's not going to force anybody to send the child to school to go pay no money. Two, you don't have address area, they don't know where anybody lives. Are they going to put police in all the neighborhood to see a child that, do you know whether the child came from Ganta and they're there for treatment in Monrovia but they're empty or something like that? You just going to go start arresting children or parents? How you going to do that? The same thing, I know Nangbe Dupa or something, that guy that was the LRA director on the one that died in India. He just jumped up that if the people don't pay property tax, they're going to go ahead and start taking their homes. Something that they do in the USA that he doesn't even understand how it works. We own our own homes in Liberia, right? But he just want to go there and arrest them, and they could not. He just made the altering, but it couldn't work because he know that the two areas are set up differently. So what happened? He couldn't do it. So this is where we are. No, you are muted. You are muted, Jerome.
Now you are an educator here. Uh, like Mr. Taiwo said, those of us who are in the education system, to even operate that bureaucracy, it is so huge. First, you need a property identification system. He talked about you should know all the addresses. You should have the social workers that network to go from house to house to check on these kids. It's a whole bureaucracy. Look at this, it's just cut and paste to make the government look good, to make your boss look good. You go to cabinet meeting, you say, I put in this place, but it has no teeth, it has no implementation, it has nothing.
Well, some of the problems you described, and also Mr. Tawo, first of all, let Mr. Tawo know, and I've always told him this. I think he's on a fool's errand to try to malign the diaspora community here in everything that is wrong with Liberia. I think he's wrong on this. I've told him from the get-go, and I always tell him that.
But he has a point. All the
He does have a point, but he cannot single out the diaspora community.
No, not singling it out.
He said. But that's what he
all the name we gave, they all come from the diaspora.
He continues to imply that the diaspora community is responsible for everything that's wrong with Liberia, and that's false. That is wrong. Joseph Boakai didn't grow up in the diaspora. Jeremiah Kun didn't come from the diaspora. Biago, we're talking about right now, is he from the diaspora? It's a whole lot of problems that's wrong with Liberia. He comes on here every day, he talks about diaspora. Already the diaspora people are struggling to get along with their brothers and sisters when they go back home, and he continues to spill this hate here, and I keep telling him. This is dangerous, what he's doing. It is wrong. The diaspora has the part to play in what is wrong with Liberia, acceptable, but the problem is also back home with our people. He knows that. You go in there, even people who, when you went to school together, they don't want to talk to you. So when he comes on here, you got to be careful. You know how you outline your problem. Your thesis is very good, but I think some of the things you're saying there is dangerous, and you need to cut it out. I keep telling you.
Now let's go to the issue now.
Okay. Let me tell you this. Look, the problem is with education, especially in Liberian context. You know, I see people talking about free tuition, free registration, all of that. That's just the tip of the iceberg. That doesn't deal with the problem. Most of our problem here, the people here, they have what is called the wrap-around services, right? It's a whole range of issues that you have to tackle. Yes, you tackle the education, you know, the registration, the school fees and all of that. But some of the kids, when they come out of school, where do they go? How do they do their homework? What are they eating when they come to school? Where do they sleep? Do they have light to study? Do they have a place to sit and study? All of these are problems, unfortunately, that the school system around the world is supposed to tackle. You talked about social work and all of that. This is where I think they're helpful. So you said also that I think the minister got a grant. I think you already laid it out. A grant is a temporary fix. You know, when the grant runs out today, then what tomorrow? So I think it's a good, intention, but I think it has to be institutionalized so that when the grant runs out tomorrow, we'll still be able to continue. But more than that, I think some of the things that I'm talking about, those are some of the things that we need to address. How does when the kid leaves school, then what? There is a whole, out of the school days was in Liberia, I think about 6 or 7 hours they spend in the school building. The rest of the 18 or so hours they spend outside the school building. So the life really happens outside of the school building. But how does life impact them outside of the school building? Are we able to do something about that? So it is a whole web of interconnected problems. I'm not saying Dr. Jasso should necessarily solve everything now, but I'm hoping that all of these are taken into consideration. Otherwise, as well intended as the program is, it will not achieve anything. One, we already established is transitory, it's transient. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but it's temporary. It expires after a certain time period. Will we be able to continue this? I don't know. But if thought is not being given to some of the things that I'm mentioning here, I think that's where we need to look. Remember the former president, I think he paid students YF fee or something like that. And at a university level, I believe. And then there were issues with the teachers themselves who were teaching the students. Yeah, you're paying the students way, but we're not getting paid. That was another problem. So it's collision here and there. So, as I'll pass it back to you, that is why I would advise they need to look deeper. I think the student life does not happen only in the classroom. It's a whole lot that impact our students. You go to the library, you see all the young kids in the street selling. That's because some of the kids are the breadwinners for the parents. Parents can't find way to make ends meet, and depend on these kids. They would rather have the kids go out in the streets so that they will be able to survive than go into the classroom. So they're trying to address it now. Classroom situation is an investment that is expected to produce to yield results down the road later. I'll put the one instant, return. So I hope all of these, are taken into consideration. And I think for what she's trying to do, it is good. But I think she needs to find a way, and I'm sure she's probably trying, but she's finding it difficult to put this in the budget so that it is a budget line, and so that the funding is going to be with us for a longer period of time. Thank you.
Oh, great. Taiwo, you got 1 minute so I can go to Mr. Toba because you call your name.
Yeah. Look, it's not. I want the Liberian people to listen.
Hang on, Mr. Taiwo. Just give me 2 seconds. Wallo here probably has finally returned from the dead. Everything I say apparently he wasn't listening.
You're gonna
so let me say it to him, Mr. Wallo, because I think you're an educator too. You always add smiling like you have all the answers, and you don't. All right. I don't have all the answers either, but let me tell you, a wraparound includes one, the child's welfare, right? Can the child go to see a doctor? Is the child hungry? Does the child have a place to sleep? Does the child have a place to study? Does he have electricity? Does the child have all of those things that impact the child, that impact the education? That is the wraparound. After school, in school, making sure the child is taken care of. And that's just the short summary of the wraparound. So you can go and write your whatever.
So I want the Liberian people and whoever watching this in the world to listen, and listen very closely, because this is the issue that we have in Liberia specifically. Nobody wants to be honest and truthful, no matter how much they claim they want to be. Liberia entire problem, generally the underlying cause comes straight out of another country, out of the diaspora. The so-called free slaves that you constantly complain about, they had 95% of the slaves so angry about, which is you're rightfully so. Where did they come from? That shaped up us into what we are today. They came from the diaspora. Ever since then, we've been on that trend. The so-called progressives, with the ideology of organizing and came and destabilized the country, whether for good or bad. Where did they come from? The diaspora. When they fell out with Samuel Doden, and then they all fled back into the U.S., they organized from here. While me and you are here today as refugee or political prisoners, or economic prisoners, I would say. The Charles Taylor, the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the Baron Stark, all these guys, where did they come from? That brought the guns to destabilize the country from the diaspora. Then after the war was over, the same group came together in the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and Harry Greaves and all these guys. They came back to run the country. What did they do? Look at the kind of policies and systems and structure that they set in place. I was here when they called me, and they called many people, that we need to pay the exorbitant salaries. Why did they pay it? Because of people from the diaspora, because they needed to pay their mortgage here. When that money could have been paid to people locally at $500, $1,000, that could have been used in the economy that they were going to be. No. All the high salary that was struggling, where the government is broke now using 97%, it came from the diaspora. What have actually been the actual result and output of these groups that are just named on the different stages that benefited Liberia in a tangible way that we can point out? It doesn't exist. You want to compare what people in Liberia do locally versus the diaspora. What the diaspora group does have lasting effect compared. They changed the entire school calendar from April or March to September, so it can try to match the U.S. system without even trying to take into consideration where our weather system falls. so that it can align, so that then the children can fly back here to come for summer. Every time they put in the diaspora, join and they take a decision, it's always out of whack with the local setup. So if there is this guilt or the fear of all this wrong that the diaspora group have done, if that is what got you to be up pent up, look, you intend on entering politics or in government. The more you try for you to make excuse for the diaspora group, all this evidence, it will demonstrate to the Liberian people and to the world that you have no intention of really doing anything good in the country unless following that same trend. The best thing we can do is to admit to these things. Change it.
Then real quick, so I go to Mr. Tugwa.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to say. So all the yelling about that, making it, you think that people don't know. I go to Liberia, I don't have any problem. I'm from the diaspora. I mingle everywhere. I interact with all kinds of people because you know why? I've never stolen from them. I have no intention of joining any kind of crook stuff to steal from them. They know that. I go in as a private Liberian citizen. I do my investment. I do whatever charity I can do, and I mingle. So I have no fear. So where you getting from that, people can get along. No, they can't get along with the crooks that are going in, claiming that they know everything, and they're just taking resources, harvesting wealth from the country. That's the people that Liberian people are angry with.
Thank you. So talk about
yes, sir.
Real quick on this, and then end this, and then start on the free education K through 12 paid for by foreign grant. The question is, here we go again. You are saying education K through 12 by grant that somebody else is paying for. Instead of making this a law to make it binding on the government to educate its people, you allow a foreign national organization, NGO, to usurp the job of the Liberian people. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I think this is educational administrative mess and a policy blunder to begin with. Before you introduce a policy, you must do a proper research to contextualize your environment to see how well that policy can be supported. To begin with, in 2011, 2001, 2006, 11, and then we have K1 of grade 1 to 9 free education. What are the failures and successes of that program? It did not go anywhere. So you have to know how the Liberian community or society work or nation as a whole. And then the president came out in 2018, had tuition-free University of Liberia. Where does it go? So how much is the economy working to be able to give those extra funding? How much taxes do we generate? Are we generating taxes to just go administrative costs or to make sure that the society function well? So there are several factors that you need to look at. If this policy has been pronounced, what was the achievement? What was the outcome? And copy and paste is very dangerous for our society, and many of our institutions back home have done copy and paste. You look at the anti-graft in Liberia from Kenya. What did Kenya do to be where they are? What Ghana did? We only copy people policy and don't look at where it starts from the originality. What gave rise to certain things? Can the government of Liberia in the next 2 years sponsor free education from grade 1 to 6th grade? What right now with all what going on, Monrovia is just Monrovia. If you go Bentor, which is the capital city that many people do not consider today, everything happened right in Pinzo or Monrovia. How many school-going ages are there? People do not feel happy sending their children in the street. But if I can survive on $10, I'm not saying I'm doing it, but people have to survive. And if they have to survive, if they have to send their children while they have the market right here, go and sell the one right here, don't go far away from me. But the child want to sell more and more, so they keep going. So there are economic conditions that make parents to lose that feeding and gain it back after the time. And I want to agree with the two panelists who went at Mr. Tayo and Dr. Bude. This policy does not make sense for our economy to say you will jail people. What are they doing? Do you know the constraint people face? Do you know how they live on a day-to-day basis? Do you know those who go and help the government to function in those different sectors? How much they get back home on transportation alone? Their salary gone. On lunch, some people go to work, they don't have lunch, which is totally unacceptable. No society, nobody should suffer that way. But what is the government thinking to improve the living condition? Everything I generated today, when you go to LRA website, they say we have almost $18 billion. But how is the $1 billion translating to the welfare of the people? How people survive? Why the true government cannot do all, but the conditions that is necessary for people to live on is depending on government. So the policy, in my opinion, is a fiasco. It's a failure. Now all that works in America will work for Liberia or work in other parts of Africa or Europe. We have to make a real case study. We have to see how the support comes. Do we have extra funding in our budget to make sure that if the grant succeed or not, if the grant cannot even sponsor our program for maybe 6 months, where can we start funding from? Do we have economic activity that raise more income to be able to facilitate that? We talk about food. If you give food today, everybody go to other countries. You feel sorry for Liberians. So Liberia is not only at the Capitol building, not only at the Executive Mansion or at the Temple of Justice. Liberia is everywhere. Even the University of Liberia is struggling with the final campus. How can we collectively, as government representation, to make sure that the people get what they want? But because government officials and policymakers enjoy keeping the people at a level of disadvantage, so these who have the advantage and the kids abroad like us to go by and just set it. I don't have intention of just seeing the way Liberians live on a daily basis to be a way out. No, we need to change the way government is being done, the way our system functions, the way people are living is unacceptable. We are in the 21st century. We are in the 21st century. The last time we heard about some passport saga, where is it today? People are scot-free. So we need policy that will benefit the Liberian people, and we need policy that will grow continuously, incremental policy, not policy that being pronounced with all impact. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting closer to the end. There's a gentleman that keeps texting that he can't see the number. The number is scrolling here. You can call, or I just enlarged it on here. Mr. Gaga, I think his name is. You can call if you want to opine. But yes, this is what is happening, guys. These things that these people have in the United States, these things that come when you come to the classroom, that you see working flawlessly. These are research, well-researched, have tried, they have tweaked it, and you see it. It's like a well-oiled machine. You can't just take it and apply it to your own setting without doing the corresponding research to find out whether those same conditions exist. But that's what we do to impress those who appoint us to power. I want to take a little note out of what Honorable Tao said about we from the diaspora. We got so much power on the ground that we can make change or changes. But when you allow the system to beat you down, like they beat me down, I was an advocate for the school district in Basel everywhere, and I got with my million and the university here. They started to do a pilot program. They gave me 30,000 books and 150 computers to take home to try and give it to the folks, and let's see how it goes. We got to Liberia, delivered the container. All I asked the education officer and those guys is, please document how many books are in this, how many computers. Just do your own inventory. Give me a receipt that you have received these things. 3 weeks. I stayed in Liberia. I ran up and down. I got tired. The gentleman who was in charge told me, listen, we don't do things the way you do things in Liberia, not because you gave us a few books, so you should come and tell us how to do it. We have our own system. 3 weeks. I left Liberia, came back here. One of the gentlemen was so embarrassed that he wrote from his own desk on the letterhead of the school that, listen, we received these books and these things, blah, blah, blah. But it didn't come from authority, it came from an employee. So this is what I'm talking about. Will you allow the system to work? Will you take the suggestion that people give? Somebody is giving you 30,000 new books. All they're asking you is, we don't want these books to be sold on the streets of Monrovia or Bassa or Liberia. So we want to make sure that whenever you are delivering these books to, take inventory and give you acknowledgement, and then you bring it back to us. They never did, and that program died. Macmillan, that is the biggest publisher in the world, decided they were not going to deal with us anymore. The University of Florida that gave us the 150 computer, they decided because they were using federal money. And they also had to account for the donations that they make where when would order these things. They couldn't do it. So because of selfishness on the ground, that program died. So here we are. So when when Honorable Tower talk about we in the diaspora here, if we could be a positive role model to those on the ground, we can influence a lot. But when we go with the intent that our homes here have to be paid for, the car note has to be paid, everything has to be done, and you got 6 years to do all of these things, then it becomes a snatch and grab. You know, where the young kids go into the jewelry store to carry the hammer and break the wall, everybody just grab diamond watches and run. That's what they are doing in that place. When the former president of Liberia, Jack Line, suggested that I go to work, my question was, there's no way you can pay me legally to maintain a family in Liberia and maintain a family in the United States. It's impossible. I had to be honest with him. It just wouldn't work. Anybody who tells you that they can maintain a home in London or Manchester or wherever in the UK with a $10,000 salary in Liberia, where you have an extended family and the lifestyle in Liberia is expensive. If you say you can live on $10,000 in Liberia to support your Liberian lifestyle and the lifestyle in the UK or the US, tell them they are a liar, not just a regular liar, but a damn liar. And that's the conundrum. So you leave from here with $3,000 mortgage. You got car note, you got children, you got taxes, you got everything. You go to Liberia and then you become a hustler. There where we are. But let's real quick, let's close on the foreign minister. Let me start with, I'll talk about this one. The foreign minister has been on a hot seat, just as the LDEA is on a hot seat. Why these people allow themselves to be fried before they come out with these press statements that people will evaluate and makes no sense? She said she called the White House, and the White House were able people to send the LDEA and you and I know nobody calls the White House. It just doesn't happen. No foreign minister can pick up the phone and call the White. That's not how it works. So why is this woman saying things that, because like I said, Liberians are gullible. If she have said, I picked up the phone and I called Marco Rubio, and Marco Rubio, put his thing, because that's her counterpart. You cannot jump the State Department and go straight to the White House. But that's how the people speak in Liberia. This is why she's on a hot seat. She did not want to address the diplomatic package that she authored or she authorized. Instead, she wants to take credit for the drug people on the ground, and she made a call to the White House. Your take on the foreign minister being on a hot seat?
Well, I think again, the official of government in Liberia, they take serious advantage of the knowledge of Liberian people. The allegation level against her, it is important for her to speak clearly, speak authoritatively about engagement or not engagement, because apparently most of what we're seeing here today or hearing about is they're not coming directly from government. Government, by and large, have been pressured with evidences to speak the way they speak today. And being the most second senior diplomat who have a high level of immunity to travel on check because of the Vienna Convention, maybe they are sovereigns, quote unquote sovereign, to point to some of her dealings because she's been traveling a lot on different missions. I know people say she's doing well. Yes, people who do well sometimes do bad, and people who do bad sometimes do good also. So it is up to her. We have a judicial system that should be trusted by every citizen. If you can have a pinpoint of who is alleging you, you can take them to the law. And if they have sufficient evidences to prove you right or wrong, then the court can decide that. So as it is right now, the level of the drug case in Liberia to openly just exonerate somebody is high because the level of high profile government officials as melting here and there. They meet at different gathering, different government functionary meetings and cabinet meetings. So they know how they tailor their thought. They know how they hint each other on what is good and what is bad. So maybe it could be based on security intel that is linking her. But again, it is her constitutional duty as a public servant to morally come right and legally come right to challenge the allegations against her character and the president as a chief representation of foreign policy. So it's up to her. She has every legal right to make sure that she come out clean. And if evidences can be produced that she, in any way she's indicted or come closer to the fact being or the allegations flying around, the best thing is to do is to step aside. And one thing we really don't see many of our officials do in Liberia, they want to wait until the law put a nail into the finger before they can say, okay, I will resign or the president will fire them. It's very hard to see a senior government official or any official to just resign because of XYZ. They either being chased by the most powerful person in exile, but even if you cut their hand in the cookie jar, they're never going to say, yes, it is me. That's all I got to say.
Good. Mr. Namwe, I see you at, like Tip O'Neill, the former representative, Speaker of the House from Massachusetts, used to say, everybody likes their own crooks. You were from the get-go, you were defending Sarah Baslow because she's your friend. You know her very well. She's a woman of integrity. But when I listen to her press conference, first of all, she doesn't even know who in the American government is in charge of the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency. It's not the White House. It's not. It is the Department of Justice. So she cannot pick up the phone and just make a call, and it happens. Justice to justice, ambassador to ambassador, foreign minister to Marco Rubio. I don't think you can just pick up the phone, call the White House and the White House and DEA officer in Liberia. So how do you square this square peg, round hole? I know that's your friend. You were defending.
Well, yeah, I mean, Sarah is a very good friend. We went to school together, and I think she's very capable. She's been with the international community for a very long time. She has been a UN resident coordinator, just like if you remember, Gordon Summons and people like that.
Yeah, in Somalia, so we know what that is.
Wait, let me press my friend Small. So she's been around. She know, she may not be a diplomat and understand all of this, but she knows how to network, and I think she knows how to close a deal. I just believe that she would need help, yes, in governmental diplomacy, in terms of chain of command, structure, and all of that. I get it, but I mean, there's no denying that she has brought a tremendous amount of credibility to the Liberian government since she took over, in spite of all of the brouhaha that attended her appointment, her confirmation, and all of that. But I think she's really made she's brought a lot of credibility to the Liberian foreign ministry and also the Liberian government in general. I think she's probably one of the best performing ministers right now in this government. And I agree with Musa Asambelete. This is something we talked about. I believe this is a smear campaign that the UP, because she's an outsider, she didn't come from the UP, she came from her own party. So I think they're after her, not liking, the other day she wrote that or something she did, and there was a whole uproar in the government talking about, whatever, whatever. Anyway, but on this issue, I differ with her and I differ with Dr. Nye. He came on another platform, we met him. And my friend Moali, he's not my friend, so let me just Moali, he's not my friend. In a functional democracy, if you feel as a functionary of government that you're being falsely accused, there is no other recourse you can see than to go to court. And that's what I was telling him. Where else do you expect to go to clear your name? Not the beleaguered Justice Department or the beleaguered police department. Nobody's gonna believe that. You take them to court and let them prove that you are what they say you are or you're not. And that was the point I'm making. But having said all of that, I didn't listen to the press conference that she gave. So I don't know exactly what was said, but I know she has made it round. I think she was at the Ministry of Information, regular press briefing, and all of that, where she made a statement and all of that. I don't believe, the Sarah that I know, will knowingly partake in anything like this. The minister described what the diplomatic pouch is. According to his understanding, I disagree with some of the things he said, that the Minister of Foreign Affairs doesn't have much to do with it. The originates from the executive mansion, but a lot of people were texting me to tell me actually the Minister of Foreign Affairs originates the diplomatic pouch. They have a lot to do with it. So there is a lot that she may not be aware of. She's probably in the middle of a storm here she may not be aware of, but I don't believe that. I'll be shocked if Cyrus knowingly participated in anything that has to do with his current investigation. Now, having said all of this, let me just say what is. I said earlier, part of the problem is the cover-up. Amara Khanna is on record now. He wrote again today. He's now saying to us that the government is fighting this war on two fronts. One, it is fighting its own officials in government. Imagine that. President Bouakai, I'll read what Amara Khanna said. I have it here. He said, our president and commander-in-chief is actively fighting the war on drugs on two fronts, fighting the cartel and dealing with its own top security officials, whom he depends on to fight the cartel, fighting the narco traffickers and fighting. Can you imagine this? This is the president's appointees. So
they're on the side of the cartel.
Exactly. So I think this lays bare the picture here that I'm trying to point out here. And this president has to get up, and I call on my friend Kofi Woods as well, because I believe this falls strictly in his terrain. He is the president's security advisor. Look, Bouakai is a man of a certain age. How much briefing you think Bouakai can sit through to connect all the dots? Kofi Woods is supposed to take all of this, simplify it for the president, put it on a one-pager, and do a presidential briefing for the president every day and point out the problem areas to him and what needs to be done. That is part of his job. I don't, so the president, he can sit through all of the briefing, talk about, the cartel comes from South America and then it goes through West Africa, comes from West Africa, and then it goes to Europe and America. That's way too much for the president. But this we're dealing with, Jerome, I think these guys have infiltrated this government very seriously. I read somewhere today, I think the very vessel we're talking about has been arrested by the Ivorian authorities. Imagine Mike Kuya wrote the Maritime Authority to grant this vessel access because it had a mechanical problem when it was still in Freetown, Sierra Leone. The vessel came here, our guys, when we blew the whistle, they went to chase it, and boom, it outran. The inner two were ready. Now, guys, they water here too deep. They can't go there. That they send a real Niji people to go after the boat. So the boat is not in the Cote d'Ivoire. That is the boat that is supposed to have a mechanical problem and listing. Can't run, can't do jack. So this problem is all around the president. He has to wake up. He has to wake up. If he doesn't, these guys are going to plunge this country into hell. Only for their own greed. A lot of his senior officials are in this. When Fokpa we said this several months back, the president fired him because the cartel made the president believe that this man was not in the interest of the government. Now look where we are. Look where we are. Can you imagine Martin Colley, who is not in Liberia, is ahead of this government in terms of revealing the facts in this case? How does that happen? How? They're versed with Martin Colley. They are versed with their own Witherspoon, who brought them to power. He has deserted the reservation. He's calling them out. And of course, they're upset with him. Now they're bringing Sarah Beslow into this. I think they're on a fool's errand, just like I told my friend Tower here. They're on a pointless mission. It's not going to lead anywhere. Because Sarah, I can put my neck on the line, and I know Sarah do well. So I'm going to put my, you can tip this and put this in the library. I don't think Sarah knows anything about this. But I urge her to really consider going to court. But thank you very much. It's been a great show. Let me wish the Honorable Musa has ability.
1 second, please.
No. Let me go next so that I can. I can't remember my brother in Europe, Wismont. Let me wish the Honorable Musa Hassan ability well. He's with the team right now as we speak. They're in Fargo, and if you are listening to us and you want to join them, come and meet them at 4859 38th Street South, Fargo, North Dakota. He's having a town hall, a consultative, not really a town hall, but retail. I hope Dennis is charging the CMC for this advert, right?
Then you pay me
Dennis,
too.
if you're in the background, send him the bill.
He's doing
Send him the
retail
bill.
politics. Like our people here go to, they go to Maine and go to, where the other place, not Iowa, or the place where they flip pancakes. You read retail politics. That is the best way you got to know the people. You don't always have to do the big crowd thing. So you're doing small settings. When he comes back, we intend to go to New York. I think next week. When he comes out of New York, we intend to go to Philadelphia over the weekend, and then he's going on to Europe before he goes back to Liberia. So basically, he's trying to get in touch with the people and trying to understand what Dr. Boudidan is doing in across the pond.
Brother, you want me to sleep tonight? Big about this. They are advert, that long advert here.
Listen. Yeah, go ahead, Doc.
No. It's been a great show. I just want to point out the one thing, right? Obviously, Mr. Nangbe is very biased when it comes to the foreign minister, because he said things like she is the best of the bunch, that she's brought credibility. And I'm thinking, where is the example of the credibility that she's brought to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs? Give us one example. She knows how to close deals. What deals has she closed? Right, that we can point to and say, okay, look at what she's done as benefiting ordinary Liberian people, that she managed to negotiate something that has brought in millions to help young people get ahead, or she's done something that brought in millions to change the health sector, or she gone to this country and negotiated 500 doctors that are now working. What did she not do? Right? I know it's your friend, and obviously you have to back her. But when you say things like, "Oh, she's closed deals and she's bringing credibility," I beg you, Mr. Nangbe, you're my own crew brother, but don't do me like that. I can see and I can hear. No, but no, it's been a great show. Unfortunately, I have to jet because obviously I'm 5 hours ahead of you, gentlemen. As always, it's been great. Look, I don't believe. Right, and let me, having said all that bashing at Mr. Nangbe, I have a stake in Madame Beslow not being dragged through this, because she's close to a cousin of mine. I think she's a mentor or something like that, and I will be careful so that I don't speak ill, especially when I don't have facts. Right? Look, Mr. Nangbe is on point. That's the one thing I agree with him on, that she should sue whomever it is that is trying to tarnish her reputation. Let them go to, don't do it like the Chief Justice, who holding Prophet King contempt instead of suing this man in civil court, right? When the man is liable.
When is Prophet coming out? When is Prophet coming out?
So I think soon. Mr. Tyler was supposed to be organizing a coming out party for him. I think
the end of August. The end of August. Yes.
But no, I think, look, she should really take this seriously. I don't believe that she's doing this great job that Mr. Nangbe says she's doing, but she's not bad, right? I think, and that is, at the start when I talk about lowering the standards. Relativity.
Yeah,
when I talk about lowering the standards are so low. right now, that when the woman just go to work on time, now we're clapping for her. Yeah, the foreign minister can go to work on time, man. That's unacceptable as a country. But sorry to jet off, gents. It's been a great show, and yeah, we'll be here again next Sunday to do it all over. Thank you so much. Have a
I've
good rest of the
spoken.
show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll see you next Sunday. Honorable Tower, speak and close.
Yeah. So look at what happened here. What Dr. Booty said about the biasness, like the guy, everybody loved their own crew, right? I was on the show with Ms. Fernandez sometime last week, and there were accusations of this person, that person. Mr. Nangwe said here, and it's recorded, and I quote, all the suspects should be arrested. Now Beslow name call, and she's a suspect. Now it is the government that is trying. Yeah, they were accusing people, like the president's son.
No, the government has announced its own suspect. Cyril Beslow has not been announced by the government as a suspect.
Yeah. So what happened here is this: as Liberia is now in Liberia, anybody, because the DEA chief himself said it, that the people higher up in government that are part of the drug stuff, that lady is higher up in government.
IG.
Yes, the IG. Yeah, Coleman. So if any of their name is mentioned, just like the president's son name is mentioned, they should be person of interest. Why is she trying to say that she called the White House? What was that for? Because you're trying to create the big shadow of America. You're trying to cast it over it so that they can leave you. What is it that you know? Or you might be connected to which you're trying to evoke White House immediately the moment your name is mentioned. I'm not saying she's guilty. I'm not saying she's part of anything. But just the way she's even going with the press conference, you're trying so hard for you to try to push away anybody trying to scare people. Because you already spoke to Trump and they contacted your DEA, why is a foreign government contacting your DEA when you are accused of a crime or being part of some kind of crime? Is that the intent to cover something up? So that brings up more question. But look, I don't have any trust in the government in Liberia. This one that want internal investigation, getting to the bottom of anything, because they will do this all through until we all die. But look, the last thing here is that the lady is not any kind of diplomat that she did this and did that. The lady was counting beans in Sudan. Okay? She was counting beans. She was a coordinator for food distribution and stuff like that. That is it. So I'm not saying that does not qualify for her to be foreign minister. That is not what I'm saying, because I don't even believe in that the person will have the degree and have that. It just take a person that have good intention, good heart for the country and ready to work. But we want to attach too much stuff to something. All this attachment, we want to see result. But the lady was counting beans and rice. That is all she was doing. She was just a coordinator for distribution and food management, stuff like that in Sudan. That's it. So there is no big connection here that she did this and did that. If she's doing a good job, that is fine. And look, to just close here, that's my last statement. Mr. Nangwe said something about Onado. They were accusing the other person of communism and socialism. Look at what happened here. Liberians should know this. It doesn't matter what type of government we have in Liberia. We are caught up too much into the names. Whether it is a democracy, whether it's what is socialism, or whatever name they want to call it, what is dictatorship. We want a government that is working for the people and for the nation. Okay? Look at China. It's not a democracy. It's working for its people. Are you going to say that the Chinese should trade what they have for what we have in Liberia? Or wouldn't you want for you to trade that kind of structure and governing system? Or the people in Israel, that is not the thing. I've been here Benjamin Netanyahu since I was a kid. He's still there. The British are not running any kind of democracy. They run a closed party system that they just exchange among themselves. But if it's working for them, that is fine. So we should not let these people restrict us into semantics and all these things. that you are too afraid for you to do this because you're going to be coming, you're going to be this. It's time for us to let those things go. Whatever government we have, in whatever form, if the democracy were working for us, we won't have no problem, but it's not working. If communism work for us, then that's fine. If socialism work for us, that's fine. If capitalism work, that is fine. We just want a governing system and structure that work for us so that the country benefit, so that invest in the people, so that the country move forward.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Tokwa, take us home.
Well, I think it would be a good thing for future Liberians or generations to see exactly where Liberia is today and where we want Liberia to be, that they can dwell on where we end. Because it's so sad and frustrating that every one of us here, when we visit Liberia, we get more discouraged than when we out of Liberia. Because the news coming from Liberia has never been as encouraging as it should be. We've been out of war for several years, and yet we're still struggling to make sure that the ordinary Liberians survive and get those social benefits for which they are being electing government upon government. So I just want to take a joke away from Mr. Nangwe, where he said the age of the president cannot permit him to retain. So it also a warning for every one of us to make sure we have an enlightened leader who has the energy, who has the moral character to make sure that he leads the country or she leads the country well. We saw Madam Seti who said, "Oh, small government efficiency, and everybody would be able to get something." We were still, not satisfied. We're still not satisfied with the level of, administrative work she did. We're still not satisfied with what job we are there, and we are not satisfied with what this president is doing. So, who can really, make the difference for the Liberians that do not know where they want to be, but they want to be somewhere that is comfortable for them? Many of us here today, we can't just stand behind somebody to lift our hand because we see or we hear the way he speaks or the way she talks or the way he looks. But they are very much starving. So every word that look sweet, everyone who gave them a dollar is the good person, but it's not with us. So we need to help them. And to close up, Tao said a very brilliant point. The diaspora have a great influence. I have sat in conversation where people can take phone and say, if you don't vote for who I'm voting for, don't call me. This is totally unacceptable. Because the person does give the person the opportunity to let them assess the person. And the only way our Liberian population back home will be able to assess our candidate or politician is to make sure we push a system where they can be enlightened. Let them learn something for themselves. Let them be able to front for themselves. Let them be able to feed themselves. Then the level of corruption that they experience or level of bad governance will be minimized. But until then, it is still our responsibility, because how much we send every day is not what we should be sending, because there is nothing happening for them. And how can something happen is to educate them.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, guys. Thank you very much. We've been here almost 2.5 hours. You guys have done an excellent job. Let's do this again next Sunday. And as usual, at the end of every show, we say no matter how we disagree or agree, we are all Liberians.
We are Liberians.